Hey guys, my name is Tiffany Augustine, and I am a student at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology at Xavier University right here in New Orleans. And I will be presenting on the development of a mindfulness group intervention to increase resilience in youth at risk for reincarceration. So it's really important to know that there are nearly 48,000 of our nation's youth that are being held in a correctional facility. And there's some serious consequences to having these kiddos detained in these facilities, some of which is we see these kiddos suffer from psychological distress. We start to see them become institutionalized. We see a decline in their mental health and cognitive functioning. And we also see an increase in their antisocial behaviors. Now, once these kiddos are done serving their time within these facilities, they're then sent back into their communities where they're expected to reintegrate. And we want them to be able to readjust and to thrive. And to also, we set this expectation that they don't reoffend again. So it's really important that we're providing them with the proper skills whenever we are reintegrating them back into the community. And a particular intervention that has been shown to be successful with this population is mindfulness. Mindfulness is just the act of remaining present in the current moment in a non-judgmental manner. And it's been found to have several positive effects on this particular population. For example, it can improve the kiddo's self-esteem. It can help them become more self-aware. It helps them to improve their ability to cope with stressful situations. It can also help them to regulate their behaviors as well as their emotions a bit better. We also see a decrease in things like hostility, mood disturbances, perceived level of stress, and we've even seen a difference in substance use. So for this particular study, I decided to implement a group intervention with youth that were reintegrating back into their community after being placed at a juvenile detention center. I gave them several measures that looked at things like self-regulation, perceived levels of stress, as well as mindfulness. I also wanted to look at the kiddos' satisfaction with the group. So the first thing I did was I took the particular curriculum that I wanted to use and I condensed it in order to make it more appropriate for the population that I was trying to reach. I then implemented the intervention with the kiddos. I collected both informal and formal data from that group. And then I actually revised the Learning to Breathe curriculum to be more culturally appropriate for this particular population. So it's really important to note that during this study, COVID pandemic hit. And so therefore, the plan was to have multiple groups go through the intervention and to also have them do more long-term follow-ups. But with COVID, I was unable to do that. So that is what led to me revising the manual. So the study actually yielded mixed results. There were improvements in some kiddos in the areas of mindfulness, stress, and regulation. Across the board, though, the kiddos were actually really satisfied with the mindfulness intervention. There was some really important feedback, though, that I got from the kiddos as well as from the staff, and also in just areas that I saw myself where there was definitely some issues that needed to be addressed, especially in the areas of didactics, cultural compatibility, as well as motivation. So when I revised the manual, I took all these things into consideration. One thing I did was I implemented a preparatory session. And the preparatory session was meant to help build motivation and also to get the kiddos introduced to mindfulness so they knew what the expectations were prior to jumping into the group. Also, the kiddos these days love technology. They have their cell phones on them everywhere as they go. So I decided that it'd be really important to incorporate technology into the new curriculum. So I used apps like Headspace in order to give the kids another way to interact with the lessons. I also provided the kiddos with optional workbooks and worksheets just so that they'd have those things that they can take home with them for if they wanted to review or practice at home. We also ran into an issue of cultural compatibility. A lot of the examples and activities used in the book weren't very applicable to this particular population. So those are some changes that I had to make. And the way that I did this was by changing the examples or having the kiddos or encouraging the kiddos to give their own examples to make sure that it's more applicable to them and their experiences. It was also really important that we made some changes that made the intervention a bit more trauma informed. So there were some activities that took into consideration some of the traumas that these kiddos have gone through and that they may still be experiencing in their lives right now. We also wanted to improve motivation. So I decided that an open group format would be more appropriate. That way kiddos could come and go as they entered into the program. Also, I decided that it would be really important to provide the kiddos with leadership opportunities within the intervention. So it gave them something to work towards and also allowed them to feel a bit more like the group was theirs. Also, some incentives were incorporated as well, one of which was providing snacks for the kids, which worked to motivate the kids to come on in, as well as it provided a nutritional need that may be there. Social reinforcements were also strongly encouraged. So the new curriculum asks the facilitators to be sure that they are providing the youth with praise as well as, just motivating statements. So what was really important, or what came from this particular study that was really important, was that it showed that there are mindfulness-based practices have the potential to assist both correctional facilities and community-based programs in their missions to rehabilitate and support adolescent offending populations. However, it's really important that in order to improve effectiveness, we have to make sure that the treatments that we choose consider cultural influences and the unique experiences of this particular population. So thanks guys for listening. I really hope that y'all enjoyed.